Hello, survivors. Welcome to the State of Decay 2 stream. I'm your host, Geoffrey Card, and we're here with Doug Juno, world builder extraordinaire.
Yay, Doug Juno!
So real quick, so people understand what you do, like, what is a world builder on our team?
So I guess it's somewhere between an environment artist and a level designer. We basically, we build the world, obviously. And so we start off with a basic world machine terrain and just slowly sculpt it and add areas where we want to add towns and points of interest and everything. And there's a lot of back and forth between world machine until we get a good result, just for a good starting point. And then there's just a lot of massaging of the terrain and just making it feel natural. So
there's a lot of studios where, like, say there's one job which is level designer, which is somebody who sort of does sort of a gray box layout, and then there's another job which is environment artist, where somebody comes through and then makes it all look pretty. You embody both of those jobs
it's kind of a hybrid
simultaneously.
of both. And we don't create a lot of the content, but we use the content other people create to fill out the world.
So like Mark might make a building, but then you can use that building and you do all the set dressing around it to make it feel like it's at home and there's kind of a story to it.
Yeah, and some of the other content artists will build the rocks and trees and things like that. And yeah, so we have a big kit of pieces and we put it all together.
So Doug and other world builders like him are sort of in charge of like the big picture of how the world comes together. And the reason we've got Doug here is because we're going to be giving our first tour of Providence Ridge, the brand new map that we're adding with the Juggernaut Edition next month, March 13th. And I should also mention that Brant's here too. Hey, Brant.
Hey, Brant.
Brant's here partly because he's always here and we love him. He's also here because he contributed a ton to building the bases in Providence Ridge. And so while Doug is going to give us sort of the lowdown on the map, the neighborhoods, the big points of interest, Brant is going to be giving us a tour of the bases. But to start that off, let's watch our new dev diary. This was just released on our YouTube channel. You can watch it separately. In fact, I'll probably put a link in the doobly-doo to it or something. But let's watch this to sort of kick off our exploration of Providence Ridge.
Players have been asking us for another environment for as long as the game has been out, and it's sort of a delight to finally give them this thing that they've been clamoring for, and give them all these new nooks and crannies to explore, new places to survive and thrive, and inevitably get murdered by juggernauts, and all the other awesome stories that happen in between.
The map is really special compared to our other maps because of all of the storytelling elements that are inside of it. When you go in and you dive into these little nooks and crannies and corners, you see these pieces of the story coming to light. You'll see creepy cultists and people who tried to fight off a zombie with a lawnmower and lost. So there's all these little tidbits of stories in the map that are really special compared to anything that we've done so far.
We've got the Prescott Fire Station and Lundegard Lumber, which internally we've been calling the Sawmill, has 5 large slots. So like, there's gonna be some players out there who hear me say that, and you're like, you did what? Wait, how? What? How is that? Isn't that broken? That can't be right. You can actually build all 4 of the leader facilities in the same base for the first time, so you can like complete the infinity gauntlet of facilities. It's awesome to sort of have that possibility. While on the other side of the map, we have our Fire Watch Fortress for the new players, and a much more streamlined sort of tutorial and on-ramp flow. And so we focused on both making it wonderful for new players in the starter area, but we also tried to make sure that the sort of endgame parts of it would provide something fresh and exciting for the returning players or for veterans.
We backported Fog because we wanted to make Providence Ridge a really special map. So when you go in, it's this lumber mill town with all the logging, and it has this foggy feeling, and you really get a sense of the atmosphere, which is special with it. It's definitely more Pacific Northwest. It was funny because I drove up to my hometown, which isn't too far from Seattle, and it looks exactly like that map.
Players have been talking about a new map forever. We went out the gate with 3, which was a lot, but we want to sort of keep giving you different context in which to live out your zombie survival fantasy. And so providing even more variety of environments, of bases, of towns, of little worlds unto themselves to explore, gives the players new opportunities to take what they think they would do in the apocalypse and sort of test it out and realize it, right? And so we tried to consider all these angles when we put Providence Ridge together so that everybody can have a good time, everybody has a reason to check it out, and hopefully everyone will come away as excited as we are.
So, how does it feel to finally have this thing in the wild? You've been working on it since last summer, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's
we
been
started
ages.
in
Oh my.
what, late June,
Yeah.
something. It was Chris, one of the other world builders, started the map, and I joined about a month later. He went through all the pre-production of planning, just the big areas of interest and everything from a top down, and I joined him when I was ready to get into the nitty-gritty of building it. So
Well, let's get into the nitty-gritty now. So you want to unpause there, Brant, and we will check this place out. So where are we starting, Brant?
Oh, Geoffrey, you started me out.
Oh no, I forgot to fix the camera. I'm so sorry. This is a traditional thing. Every stream starts with the
How
camera
long?
being set up inverted for me so that he can make it standard. So I made Brant his favorite character. He's carrying both the golden shovel and the golden gun.
Yes. Yep.
So what is this place?
Well, this is the Firewatch base. This is what we call internally is the tiny starter.
Yeah.
It is. It was created hand in hand with the new player on-ramp process in mind. You guys will notice that unlike our other first bases, this one, the entire layout is right here. You don't have to go up or down stairs. There is a neat little tower that you can go up, but it is not essential that you climb up there.
Yeah. There's like a built-in facility there that you never have to interact with.
Yes. Yeah, that's basically the bedrooms. It extends all the way to the top. If you go up there at night, you'll see a nice little wood stove providing warmth. But this is the new on-ramp base, so that people unfamiliar with sort of that hidden, our kind of hidden base building system, the new on-ramp definitely eases you into it. And the layout of this base, while being cool and taking advantage of something that's already in the environment, it's a much easier thing to manage.
Yeah. And so we're going to be spending a lot of time with this base next week, because that stream is going to be focused a lot on the new missions that we made for the new sort of new player on-ramp experience. And so we're going to spend not as much time here because we've got 4 other bases to show you folks.
That's right.
And so, but I think so. Doug, this entire area that this base is set in is basically it's built for brand new players.
yes, it is. Yeah, it just even the layout around the base, it's a lot easier to get your first few missions and kind of learn the systems of the game and really feel like you're making progress right away without, trying to figure it out yourself. It's a little more, it's a lot more forgiving for new players.
Yeah, from up here, especially if you survey, you can sort of see all of the nearby stuff to scavenge. There's basically kind of one of everything in this tiny little area. So you learn what a clinic looks like, learn what a tartan mart looks like, start to recognize some houses, that sort of thing.
But yeah, this is, you drive north of Seattle for an hour and then start heading east, and you're going to run into a lot of places that look like this.
Yeah, exactly. Like Erin was saying, it's basically her hometown.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons we did this map in the Pacific Northwest, because this is basically our backyard, and we didn't have as much time as we would have wanted to for this map because of just when we wanted to get Juggernaut out, and so
you folks have been asking for it for so long. We wanted to get it into your hands.
Because of that. So we went with what we know, and a lot of us didn't grow up here, but we've lived here for a while, so we just go outside and look around, and we can see what we want to build.
Yeah, and even I grew up in North Carolina, and even though that's about as almost as far away as you can get on the continental United States from the Pacific Northwest, it still even evokes a lot of the places that I grew up around. Places like Pilot Mountain and stuff, where there was lots of hiking trails, lots of sort of wilderness, but then you were never too far from small towns and little places where in the zombie apocalypse you could scavenge. And so let's hop in a car. Do you want to head over to the west, to the
first
truck
one
stop?
there?
Yeah,
Yep.
first one there.
So we're leaving the Camp Winchester, which is your starting area. It's a typical campground. I'll take you on a quick little tour of the campground. Oh, except I'll run into a tree.
These dirt roads
Man,
don't really give you a lot of traction.
This car.
I should have cheated you a better car.
It feels like you're on ice sometimes.
But yeah, and there's a nice little lake, lots of little camping sites. There's some other stuff to discover up here. I'm not going to show you everything. But you know, everybody's gone. Almost everybody's had to go camping, whether they like to or not. And
I love all these little like puddles, little water features. It's like really, you kind of feel how moist this place is.
Don't use that word.
It's so moist. This is the moistest map.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me. That word doesn't.
I really should.
I am never.
If you want to
taking
cheat
this-
yourself another car,
I'm never taking this car again.
I can take us
It's
off the
okay.
Elgato for a
I'm just
second.
gonna Tokyo drift it here.
All right, there we go. Yeah, sometimes you have to turn left to go right.
I learned that from Cars.
I did too. I actually seriously got way better at driving cars in video games by watching the movie Cars.
There's our new
Shaggy
famous
Jack.
So
Shaggy Jack.
Tell us about him. Like,
Shaggy Jack is kind of the mascot of this area. There's a lot of places around here where logging was king. I mean, that's what built the Pacific Northwest originally, was the unending, quote unquote, never-ending supply of timber. And also the legend of Bigfoot. So
yeah, and so he's got kind of like sort of a Bigfoot meets Paul Bunyan kind of flavor to him.
yeah, exactly. There's a place about 60 miles from here called a town called Shelton, which was built on logging, and they have a big Paul Bunyan statue sitting out front of their town.
Well, this sounds like exactly the right thing then.
Yeah. So that's definitely the local flavor. I mean, a lumberjack Sasquatch is basically the perfect sandwich of representation for this area. So now we've come down the hill. We are at Rusty Rosie's Roadkill Restaurant.
I love some of the names you guys come up with for these places. So,
And, you know, some homage to other games that have been made.
all bikes were sent to Oregon.
Yeah, because it's, you know, it's kind of a biker / truck stop theme thing. So to head off all those questions that we're going to get about why aren't there motorcycles in the game, we've already answered that question. They've all been sent to Oregon.
Except for this one right here.
Except, well, that's not a real bike. Come on, that's a trash.
That's a work of art, is what
So
that is.
it ties in with this whole area because part of this base is also Salvage Beast, which is, you know, salvage. Squish that guy.
So do you want to? So are you claiming the?
So I'm looking around.
Claim
Oh,
the
you want
base?
me to claim it?
Yeah, we should claim it so we can have a look at the. People
Oh,
are going to want to
yes.
take screenshots of all of the sites. Of all of the slots and what they have to offer.
So you guys will remember that. I mean, it's the same footprint as the truck stop in. I can't remember which map it is right now, but completely new completely new setup. And like I said before, each base has been custom made. Oh, get away from me!
Nice dodge.
And then you'll see I'm also working on the heavy weapons. I need to eat some snacks and then get back to it. Oh, don't waste swings, Brant. I'm doing exactly like I shouldn't be doing. Bam, and squish. There we go.
That is beautiful.
So, checking out what is back here. It looks like they had some kind of an illegal operation running back here. Things are messed up, but that goes, you know, it's sort of the outlaw kitchen, because this is definitely themed for, you know, bikers and people on the road. Kind of a really gross bathroom.
That looks exactly like one of the bathrooms that I saw on my recent trip.
We've got the big gas station here, and then I'm gonna bust in. Come on. And another radio room. So now I can.
Looks like 2 last zombies to take out.
Yeah, they're probably sitting outside too. So
Oh,
let's see what
jerks.
happens. Drop down. Where are you, Mr. Zombie? I'm here. Come get me.
There you
Oh, and I missed. There we go.
There you go. That shovel hits so hard. I love it.
That shovel hit so hard I chopped his arm off. Whack. going down. And squish.
Oh, God,
Okay.
that move.
I mean, you can see that without the cheated like powerhouse, it's pretty tough to manage your stamina on this.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
what am
didn't
doing?
bother giving all the characters their fancy skills.
All
Yeah,
right,
I got
let's-
so used to cheating myself stamina, the infinite stamina when I was doing the actual play test. I was
Then when
doing
you
like
actually
2 or 3
play, yeah,
swings
it's
and
tough.
yeah.
All right, so we've taken over the map, and everybody's showing up saying, "Oh, I love this place so much." I'm sure that's what they'll say.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if we take a look at the base, after I pause on the community screen real quick.
There, I'm gonna make us go away real
Yeah.
quick so we can see.
So you'll see, like the original truck stop base, there's some seating areas that are clearable. But if you choose not to right away, those seating areas, each one provides 1 bed. So it might be useful.
Yeah. Right now we're running with a really large community, so we're way out of beds.
Yeah. We can fix up the biker kitchen as you saw. If I run back in there, it is messed up. It is messed up. Somebody's actually already trying to clean. But yeah, oh, I love that. Found on a ride, brought back and fried. But yeah, so this definitely needs to be cleaned up. So we'll clean that up. I don't know if we'll have time to actually
Like see it happen.
see it
reals.
happen.
Yeah.
But that'll be stuff for you guys to discover. Here's the places I can fix up, and if I break those down, I get some materials that'll be helpful in building that base. What do we have here, Geoffrey?
Let's have a look. So that reminds me a lot of some stuff we used to see when we were making the Year 1 Survival Edition.
That's right.
These
This
little-
is way back in the day.
This is like an old. You guys know, if you mostly know Cleo from playing Daybreak, you see these little tiny capsules that
Yeah.
Cleo likes to drop. But the original Cleo drops were these big
clunky-
honking. Yeah. Oh, they were crazy.
Oh, what?
What?
Somebody says Cleo is a liar. I wonder why. Let's go into the base screen and take a look at that. A failed Cleo drop. It is clearable, but what does it need?
A lot of effort, a lot of expertise.
Yeah, either lots of brute force or a smart person. Neither of which
we
I
have right now. Yeah.
So that's something that you guys can explore. There's some benefits to opening it up because if you guys played the Year 1, you'll remember that those things were chock like a piñata of awesomeness.
Yeah.
So you might get some benefit, but you're gonna have to work at it.
Yeah.
It's also a way to if you guys want to stay here for a long time, this is occupying one of the large slots. So you'll want to take a look at that. Also, it comes with an auto works, but that's clearable. So if you don't want to if you don't either have somebody who can take advantage of that expertise-wise, or if you just need some extra room, you can clear that off, and then you'll have 2 large slots to work with. But that's pretty standard stuff for a mid-sized base. This is definitely mid-game stuff.
And this is, we were kind of, we drive a lot of new players when we know that they've sort of aged out of the tiny base, and we think they should sort of, look for their first real mid-sized base. This is the one we drive them to first to check out. It's nice because it starts with a lot of the slots full, and so there's not a bunch of just big open space to be confusing, but most of those spots, like you were saying, can be cleared.
Yep.
And so then it becomes more versatile over time as you get more comfortable with the game.
You'll notice the setting-wise, Doug, you want to talk about this particular area now that we're down off the mountain?
Yeah, we're coming down the mountain where it's taller trees and everything, and they start thinning out. And one of the things we did
Hobson,
with this,
right?
Hobson Falls, yeah, there are the falls nearby. I don't know if it's more down.
It's down. I
That way and
can
then to the-
follow the river. Let's take a quick look at the river before we move on to the next base. So, like all of our rivers, this one is easily navigable by vehicles, like real life. I'd like to point out.
It's like we do that all the time.
Yeah, this is how we actually get to work. Driving the river. Splash. But is this the one that goes to Hobson? I think it does.
Yeah, the falls are at the end.
So now we're looking at Hobson Falls. I'm going to stop here, get out, and enjoy the view. Look at those big, majestic waterfalls. I'm going to take care of this guy real quick because he's messing with my calm. Squish. One more. Blech. Fish food. All right, so there really is a Hobson Falls.
We didn't just name it that. That
in
wasn't just a
Hobson
random
Falls.
thing.
Yeah, it's not like some random housing developments where they just they throw a couple names into the hopper and
Just a dartboard with.
Yeah. That name is particularly meaningful to us too.
It
I'd
is
say.
very meaningful to us. Drew Hobson is known to all SOD2 players as the voice of Sasquatch, and all SOD1 players as the voice of Marcus Campbell.
Yeah. And a bunch of randomly generated characters who got Marcus's voice.
Yep. Very near and dear to our heart. He's one of the sweetest people who's ever lived, and I don't know if he knows that we've named it after him yet. So when he finds out, I'm sure he'll be completely excited. So I'm going to continue down the road here to take you to our next base. It's another mid-range base. We have one small starter, 2 mid-range bases, and then 2 sort of
Enormous bases.
enormous, large endgame style bases.
I really love how the mist in this map lets you sort of understand the distances better than you can in a lot of the other maps. Like, you really can see how, looking down off a mountain, how far away everything is.
And I think it helps exaggerate it too. So even if it isn't that far, it feels that much further because of that. So
Yeah.
it helps with the.
Yeah, Doug, so you only have a fairly limited number of props, variety of props to work with when you're setting these up. Do you, what do you do to get around some of those limitations?
Sometimes it's just so, especially with the rocks, there's not a big variety of them, and we have to put them everywhere, especially on the borders of the map, just to block the player from, or at least making it look like the player can't get out. So it's getting creative with arranging them in different ways to where it doesn't get old. But sometimes you just have to set it down and do something else and come back to it with fresh eyes because just living in Rockland for a while could get tedious.
You can only rotate the same prop so
Yeah.
many times?
Or just rotate, like I will do some and then Chris will do a pass on the stuff I did, just switch it up. So
Well, you guys make
different.
a great team, for sure.
So I've been slacking on a couple of questions here. So Ranithcord wants to know, what kinds of trees are those? The ones that have been up on the mountains, like the kind of, I think there's some conifers and stuff like here. Do you guys know much about like the breeds of trees we're using?
Those are Eastern cedar. I don't know what they are.
yeah, I can't even remember. I know there's the pine and then there's
Yeah, those are mostly pines
the
up there.
tall ones. Yeah.
Like mountain pines, not coastal pines, because there's a difference.
We did try to keep the taller trees toward the top, and then we distinguished the starting area.
See, I should know this because my mom was a college botanist. She taught botany classes,
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
and
I knew she was an artist. I didn't know she was also a botanist.
yeah, that was her first career was a college professor in botany. I used to remember being dragged around to bogs in Washington.
Wow. Like wetlands flora?
Yes, because that was her specialty. Was
Oh, wow.
Doing Washington native wetlands plants. So I should know all these names. I am a bad son. Anyways, we
so-
are at the next base.
While you're clearing that out, Oddly Lemony wants to... Oh, wait. Do you have anything you want to say?
We have a giveaway.
Oh, we do. We're going to do that towards the end. We should mention it, though. You're right. We're planning on doing a giveaway by the end of the stream. So if you were about to leave because you just saw a couple of bases like, oh, whatever, yeah, sure, I know what I need to know, don't leave, because around like 3:40 Pacific time,
Big giveaway.
we're giving away a Phantom White Xbox controller. I don't have it with me because we haven't bought it yet. But we are going to buy it, and we're going to give it to you. So at least one of you. So stick around. About 3:40 is when we're going to open it. There's a bunch of people who are familiar with the way we do this, who are hitting !enter right now. But we're not actually starting it yet because we found that we tend to lose people. Like if everyone enters the contest or the giveaway at like 3:10, half of those people have moved on to look at something else by the time the winner is announced. And so we're going to do a much tighter period of time where people can enter the giveaway. So hold on, hold your horses. Don't enter yet. Around 3:40, we're going to kick it off. But anyway, so Oddly Lemony wants to know, can you actually get hiked to the top of the falls? The dev diary showed a camera angle from up there, but was that just fakery?
So we didn't intend to do that just because it opens up a bunch of other bugs and everything. So I know we put a lot of rocks to block it. You could get close and kind of get a nice view, but no, it just because then you could see past the edge of the world, and it's
It's really high up there, right? Where
it was too much to try to work that in and still have the map functional. So
You know why Oddly
totally
asked
cool.
that? Because Oddly Lemony creates some of the coolest screenshots I've ever seen of our game, and yeah.
Well, so I think we might have just officially unconsciously given a challenge to Mon Prince Cyclope to get a car up there.
Undoubtedly.
yeah, you probably can.
I give him like 8 minutes.
We probably miss a lot of things, but
So Stephen Mua wants to know, what's one of the first things you have to think of when making a new map? Like, starting completely from scratch, where do you even begin?
so for us, we kind of started 2 maps in tandem just because it was Chris and I. It's our first time building a map for State of Decay 2. We both helped finish Heartland, but doing a core map, it was new to us. We had done similar stuff at our other companies we worked at before, but there's a lot that goes into a State of Decay map. So really what we did was we just went into World Machine and we start just putting in plugging in different nodes together, getting like a terrain that looks cool, and then if Chris decides like, oh, I want to do Pacific Northwest, which he did, he kind of figures out something that's got some cool elevation here and some flatter areas and a spot where there could be a river, and so you just kind of start doing that and masking out areas that you think you might want towns in, and there's some back and forth between that and Unreal to start getting the scale of the map, and so
you're basically sketching it out right there in the game. Like, you could sit there and play on the sketch that you're making from the beginning.
yeah, it starts off super rough, but we have to do that just to get in there and just see how it feels if it's way too high, and we have to like, crunch the whole thing down, and there's a lot of back and forth at the beginning. So
Well, it looks like Brant has got the...
Yep, I've taken over the construction warehouse base. Some of you will notice the company that runs it, Weston.
Oh, yeah. Weston Allied Industries.
That's right. And then Lundegard Lumber, which we will see later.
Yeah, and what is that leaning against Lundegard Lumber?
Look at that. Another one of these terrible things.
So basically, no matter which mid-range base you choose, you have the option to work on this Clio drop.
Yeah, and those are Clio V1. Obviously, with we introduced with Daybreak that even the Clio stuff has been upgrading, but this stuff didn't open. That's why it's still sitting here. That's why it was.
is that
never
why they lie?
What's that?
Is that why they lie? Because their stuff doesn't work?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why Clio was a lie to whoever was not able to break open the pinata of wonderfulness. But you'll see this base is a little bit different layout, but you've got some things that are pre-existing, like a really nice warehouse storage area,
That would make sense for a warehouse.
and a couple pre-existing beds, which didn't exist in the other base. But and then there's some more outdoor slots and things that you can play around with.
So it feels like there's a little bit of a pattern here where, you've got the 2 mid-range bases. One of them starts with a lot of built-ins and a lot of stuff worked out. The warehouse starts pretty open. You've got a lot of sort of flexibility there. And I think that's something that was done on purpose, right? Like wanting to give, some players are going to want flexibility, some players are going to want exciting built-ins, and kind of get best of both worlds this way.
And in fact, when Brian and I were working on coming up with what bases to put in here, we really thought back about what we'd learned about how people play, and how much or how little they wanted to engage in that part of the game, and we wanted to give people options, both of those. So there's sort of extreme end options. There's pretty managed base already, and then one that's up for a lot more player control, and this one is definitely allowing you to have some more control. There's also some fun little stuff in here. This does not count as a watchtower, but it's just fun. You can shoot things from up here. Safe in a siege. But we'll take a quick tour through here, and then we'll move on to the next. But this is, a construction site prep area. So contractors can come here to the depot instead of going to like a big box store. They can come here, and all the stuff they need for building, large housing developments.
Yeah.
Hint, hint.
Yeah.
So are we going to get a chance to look at some of the neighborhoods like that here?
We're gonna roll through that neighborhood on the way down.
Okay,
on the
cool.
way down south. There's
Yeah, I'm
some,
excited to see that.
some people have liked to set up little special areas in there, but yeah, this has a little bit of everything. It's got some refrigerated storage. You're all set, right? When you move in, you don't have to worry about building beds and things like that. This one's ready for you. So We will take a quick tour. I'm going to switch away from
This character?
the douchiest character we've ever made. And
You got a lot of good ones to pick from, so.
yeah, let's go with Zip.
Zip, yeah, I love that name. It's short for, you can't see it here, but short for Zipporah.
Zipporah Mersha. Okay.
Yeah. Say, I think she might be. I think that character might be Ethiopian, actually, at least in heritage.
All right.
So, we've got several questions actually for Doug. So one was Angry Dragon 2563 wants to know: do you look at any topography maps to help build the world space? Like, how do you build up sort of the research, your knowledge of the way land comes together?
We did spend a lot of time just.
Can you go away from the map real quick?
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, you mean from the screen?
Yeah,
so
from
you can
the
see it.
screen,
Yeah,
sorry.
well, let me just switch to this screen.
Okay.
You tell us about stuff.
So we did spend a lot of time going back and forth between just our map and then just looking at Google Maps, maybe a small town we grew up nearby, or just seeing the layout of the roads and placement of areas of interest versus natural terrain and everything. So there was a lot of Google Maps, and it's a super powerful resource for us because you could go anywhere.
Oh yeah, totally.
So.
And you even get like close-up pictures of things if you want to see it.
I
at
mean,
ground
yeah,
level.
most areas they've been updated pretty recently within the last 5 years or something. But so yeah, that's a good thing for us to look at, and especially since we're leaning into the logging on this. We looked around here. I mean, even though it's close for us, but it's easy to go onto Google Maps and just head up to North Bend instead of just going to North Bend, and so.
Yeah. So the existence of a construction and builder supply warehouse hints at the existence of the need to have a builders and construction supply warehouse.
Some construction and maybe some building going on.
So Doug, if you want to tell us about the neighborhood I'm about to drive into. Wait,
Forgot
what's
the name
this
of it.
sign?
Oh, Vista View. That's right.
What is this? Coming soon. Luxury homes. The gentrification
It looks like the sign from Back to the Future.
of this
Yeah.
area. So we're going to drive down and see why there's a need for a construction
warehouse.
and builder
So
supply
that reminds me, the other maps, we kind of had a theme that tied the whole thing together. But with this one, Chris kind of went in and not heavy-handed and in your face really, but we wanted to really bring the logging to the forefront of the map and make it be something that tied all the elements of the map together. So there's this theme around the entire map. So you have the new construction, which is fueled by the lumber that we haven't seen yet, but we're gonna get
Yeah,
there.
we'll get there. Yeah.
So we are now
Shaggy
in
Jack, the lumberjack, and
we're now in the gentrifying area. Obviously it's a bunch of new homes. I'm going to let Doug talk about it, but I just wanted to point out that there's a model home here.
it was sold too. If you look at
Just
the-
in time.
Yeah, just in time for the apocalypse.
And you can see that model home was also the model for all the homes. They're all cookie cutters, right? So, okay, I'm done. But I just wanted to point that out.
So some of these people got in on the bottom floor, or the ground floor, and it was just not the right time. So.
Yeah. Lots of construction going on. Some in different stages of building that same cookie cutter home.
So yeah, so like thematically, what is this map sort of saying about, like, I don't know, small town, rural America, seeing this, you see these like classic stuff like the logging and the old like Shaggy Jack character representing kind of the old stuff that used to be going on, but then here you've got these new developments. Like,
I mean, it's kind of what they've been doing up here around us. Like everything in Redmond is getting torn down and built up, or if you go to Issaquah, same thing. So that's kind of some of the inspiration too for us, was just seeing what's happening here with everybody moving into Microsoft, Amazon, and all of that. So
yeah, I live in Bothell, in a place that used to be like sort of just little scattered neighborhoods in the woods, and now every square inch, and like they knocked down one house in our neighborhood
And
and
put
replaced
four
it with like it was like 7, like a cul-de-sac with 7 houses on it.
Yeah.
And it's
They're all
it's
right next to
completely
each other?
yeah, they're all like crammed in
Yeah.
really tight. None of them have yards. It's kind of ridiculous, but that's
I try
kind
and
of
knock
going on
down
here.
all these signs.
You're just mad at them.
Yeah, I'm mad at them. Anyways, so that was one of the neighborhoods. I'm going to head down to our next space.
So Fred Garvin wants to know, like, what determines sort of the foliage density that you can do? Like,
I mean, some of it's just performance for what Unreal could handle, and how optimized we were able to make it with the engine we have. So we went a little bit more dense than the other maps, especially up at the top, just to get that thick forest feeling. And
But there's trade-offs, like maybe you have more trees but fewer buildings or something in an area, right? Is that how it works?
yeah, a little bit. Yeah, we were lucky enough that there was some foliage optimizations that we were able to get not as thick as we wanted to, and especially when you're driving a vehicle, they could pop in quickly, and so we have to be careful about that.
Yeah. So actually, we've got a question from Gel, who asks, I'm not sure if this has been asked before, but will the graphics improvement impact performance in any way? I'm guessing it will if the graphics were enhanced. So I think that we actually, as you guys were doing things like being able to use more foliage and stuff like that, that was because we were also at the same time optimizing stuff and making it more manageable, right?
Yeah, we couldn't afford to do some of these improvements without finding memory to buy back, right? And those optimizations, what you're seeing now is the result of those optimizations, and then backfilling with whatever we could do to improve our existing stuff.
So you shouldn't expect there to be a massive difference in performance.
Right.
Yeah. So
And
it's
in
just
fact,
looks better.
in some places, especially the older maps, you might actually see
Like a better frame rate.
A better frame rate, because we've optimized a lot of props and the placements that are in those maps. So, but also done cool things like put in our new roads in the old maps. Wait,
Yeah.
did somebody actually hit me from? Oh, what are you doing? Yeah, don't hit me. Anyways,
So
we
tell us
find-
about this neighborhood.
yeah.
Prescott.
So this is the Prescott Fire Station. Prescott is a classic example of small, old Washington mountain town that relied on a natural resource which is no longer very available. So it had its heyday. They obviously were big on celebration. They were celebrating what, Doug?
Yeah.
They're basically celebrating their heritage as a logging community, and if you see the sign up there to the left,
As soon as I take care of this
not
zombie.
sign, I guess it's a banner. It's the 47th annual Sawdust Days, which there's a parade, there's fun and crafts and music and things, and
Evil Beaver.
the beaver.
So they've got like a bad guy to their. They don't just have Shaggy Jack. They've got an evil beaver.
Evil Beaver. Beaver is just, that goes hand in hand with the logging thing. But Evil Beaver, those of you who know Undead Mark, Evil Beaver has a 20 plus year history in the game business.
Mark just throws him into places.
Yeah.
Wow.
But one of the classic small town Americana things that Doug has so beautifully set up here is that small town parade. Their pride in their community. They're celebrating.
There's like the 4-H float. There's whatever. It's all
So Doug, if you want to talk a little
nothing
bit
professional about each one.
about your process, this is a great example of our world builders utilizing a small number of available props to tell a bunch of different stories.
So
Right?
I originally blocked in the parade with just some different trucks and cars and things and trailers behind them with stuff on them, and then Jason actually went through and did another pass on the prefabs, and then I took those prefabs and arranged them in a way that looked like chaos went down during the actual parade. So
Like this guy up here,
yeah, he was just
he had a bad day. He had a very bad day up here.
I think he was probably one of the last to go. He had to probably watch everything else
Yeah.
transpire before the zombies finally got to him.
Note to everybody out there, sitting in a wooden tub is not going to save you from zombies, apparently.
So we had a question from George Wright Mercer who asked, will we see more story in this new map, or are you saving that? So we did add a few missions that we're going to talk about next week, but most of the storytelling we're doing is the kind of storytelling that
yeah.
that
We
you guys do.
went. I think it was in the dev diary you guys just watched, but we did a lot more storytelling elements. Some that are more in your face, like the parade right here. It's like, oh, it's a parade that went down or the apocalypse went down during the parade. But there's a lot of smaller storytelling items, or not items, but just areas that we have hidden throughout the map. So it's worth exploring. And a lot of them are like, oh, looks like they were fighting over a duffel bag and the deal went south, it's there's not a definite story, but it's the player can put the story together in their head, and So I think there's a lot of fun things like that, and then just some Easter eggs, and it makes the whole map worth exploring.
Yeah, there's quite a bit. This is the kind of storytelling I love, though, because this is so small town, it's not even funny, right? Somebody said, well, I want a better view, and they just threw their stuff up on top of the bus stop, right?
And then they died.
And then they died, because that's what happens when you misuse
Government property.
public utilities,
Yeah,
right?
there you go.
The same old, the usual suspects. Tart and Mart is the only Mart that survived the apocalypse. But yeah, Snake Room. Those of you who play Daybreak will recognize that sign.
Well, let's go and claim the fire station real quick.
All right. Yeah. Sorry.
No. This was definitely time well spent. But I'm realizing that we need to make sure we have time to get both Prescott Fire Station and the other place into the stream.
340.
Yeah.
So-
it is 340, which means there's another thing. While you're cleaning out that fire
Yeah,
station,
I'll go take care of
let's
business
toss
here.
this thing up on the screen. So we're going to be giving away a Phantom White Xbox controller. And so the way, actually, if you guys want to know what that looks like, let me just quickly throw this up over here. So one of these, if you're looking for one of these, we're going to be giving one of these away in about 5 minutes. So if you want to win this thing, type ! Enter into the chat, unless, of course, you're watching this later, in which case you already missed it. It probably already happened. You can skip ahead like 5-10 minutes and find out who won. But if you're watching it live, definitely put that into the chat. And in about 5 minutes or so, we're gonna figure out who the winner is.
So this whole time I've been reading that as Lenter.
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 It's exclamation point
Yeah,
enter.
yeah. Once you said that, I was like, oh, that's what it is.
It's people celebrating Lent, you know. Anyway, so Brant's clearing out this sucker. Let's quickly see if we've got a few more questions that I have missed. Let's see.
How many of these guys are there? Come on. Let's get this done.
All-Star Boy 19 wants to know, will you update the AIs like dialogue, behavior, combat, stuff like that? We don't have any major updates to AI for the Juggernaut Edition, but we have been paying attention to all the feedback that folks have given us, so that's one of the hot priority things that players care about, and so we are paying attention to it. It's just, we've made tweaks here and there, but don't expect a revolutionary change to the way that AI behaves in the Juggernaut Edition.
All right, real quick.
Yes.
So now we've taken over the fire station base, Prescott Fire Station. And you'll notice there are tons of built-ins. This place is a built-in haven. So the theory behind this being, for those of you who don't really want to spend a lot of time dealing with building up your base, we've created a large base, an end-game style base, that has a lot of the stuff you'll ever need. And then a few things to supplement what you don't have or how you want to play. You'll also know, one thing I wanted to point out was the base screen.
Oh yeah.
The background here allows for, it's been redesigned by Krista and Suzo and a lot of the people here, but Krista went in and did this, made it much more visible. It's a lot easier on the eyes to manage your base. But you'll see there's a lot of damage done to this base, and so sometime you'll need to invest some time in fixing things up. But then once you do, you have power and water in your base already. So those of you who are min-maxing, you won't have to burn 2 of your outposts on water and power, or So we wanted to give you options, and interesting ones at that.
One thing Brian wanted me to point out is that the dev diary, depending on how you listen to it, you might get the impression that both of the large bases have 5 large slots.
The infinity slots.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So, but no, it's only the final base that we're going to show you, the lumberyard base, has got the 5 slots. This base does not have the 5 large slots, but it does have a lot of built-ins. It's got the same kind of split that we were talking about before with the mid-range bases, where one of them has a lot of unique stuff for you to discover, and the other one has a lot of open flexibility, and we're going to get to that last one. But first, what is this?
Look at that bell over there. Let's see. I'm going to watch that zombie. That zombie's like, oh, wait.
We've got the sound turned way down in here, so we can't actually tell if you're hitting that bell.
So I can tell if it shows up on the screen there. Yeah, so I'm hitting the bell, and any zombies that are in this general area will turn their attention towards that because that is the like the biggest sound out there.
So you can use that to disrupt sieges and things like that when they're going on at this base.
If you want to manage some of the zombie numbers coming at you, you can shoot that, and zombies will be drawn to it. Or you can do fun things like set C4 over there, and then wait for a whole bunch of them to show up, and then light it up. But yeah, this base is has some good sight lines. You do have a watchtower there that is manned once it gets fixed up. And you know, it's a brand new building for us, so this one is definitely not your usual base. She's obviously cleaning up here because yeah, it's messed up when you show up.
This place is a disaster.
It is. It was. They tried to hold out and they got messed up. There's Captain Roscoe, one of the many dogs in the office.
That's the first time I've seen that.
Oh, really?
I haven't seen that one either. Wow.
Yep.
That's
Captain
awesome.
Roscoe, super famous. But you know, this place has some cool stuff like a gym that's built in. You can upgrade it to be really useful to teach things. So there's some fun stuff going on here. But in the interest of time,
Yeah, we should probably start heading out of there. So the people have been asking for a fire station base for a long time. That's one of the top requests I think that we've gotten from people who saying, you know, people suggest new bases to us all the time, and fire station is one of the ones that I think is pretty popular. Partly because people, you know, fire stations are some of the biggest and most fun buildings to explore in the existing maps, and people are like, you know, just imagining having a base in a place like that, you know, sparking people's imaginations. So okay, so this base is down near like the southwest corner of the map, and now we're headed to the sort of the southeast. In fact, Brent, if you want to like open up the map real quick, I think we haven't really gotten a full screenshot of the map. But yeah, so we're here in the southwest corner, and now we're headed over to the southeast corner, which is where Lunderguard Lumber is, right?
Yep. So we're gonna head over towards the. Doug will talk about it, but so this was Old Town. This was Old Logging Town. We're going to head to the industrial sort of valley area that Doug will then fill you in on. But this also has some of the coolest sight lines in the game.
Yeah, once we get over there, you're going to see this is where they had done a lot of their logging. There's some clear-cut area, which was a unique visual we didn't have in the other maps.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, because I remember there was a clear-cut area in the original State of Decay.
Yeah.
And it was actually one of my favorite areas to explore because nothing in the game was driving you there. It just felt like a really weird, like lost corner. But here you brought that aesthetic into State of Decay 2 for the first time.
Yeah. Go around the wrecks. There's a river there, and big open area. And before we're through, I will drive up to the hillside to show you just how sort of vast this valley area is. But this was the town that was built up around the industry where they floated logs down the river, things like that. And the base that Brian referred to in the dev diary is right up here on the right. And you'll notice that it's Lunderguard Lumber, the same people who made all those lumber piles that were in under other place in the other bases around here.
John Lennon's just asked, if you want to get this game on Steam and play through your very first playthrough on Nightmare difficulty, can you do that? I believe so. I don't think anything stops you from playing whatever difficulty you want. I think we don't encourage you to do it if you really are genuinely brand new to the game, but I don't think we have anything stopping you.
All right. You didn't give me suppressed weapons, so I'm going to have to fight all these guys.
I guess some of you suppress weapons.
I'm going to run through here. Oh, look at that. This is why we call it the sawmill, because it has an industrial saw in it. But yeah, big open space. You'll see buildings like this all over Western Washington, especially where there's still a little bit of timber industry left. Places like Aberdeen and Hoquiam, strange names, but yes.
Yeah, you don't have to get far out of town to get to some of these places.
Oh, come on. There we go. But big loading dock because it's right on the railroad. And this base there were some train cars parked there. So to fortify this base, they took advantage of some of the trains there. Obviously, they got a little bit too enthusiastic. They crashed their loader, but and no let's just get this out of the way quickly. Those loaders are not drivable. All right, question answered. Yeah, they did what they could to shore this up. The train derailed over there, and Doug did a wonderful job of set dressing this whole area. It looks like, I swear, this looks like Aberdeen. If you drive through Aberdeen, you're like, oh, they cookie cuttered it and put it in here. But I will go
Take that last spot.
take the last spot.
We've gotten a few questions from folks in the audience asking about like the time and resources that it takes to make a map like this. So we mentioned early on that you guys started this like last summer. It was it
around July is when we really went into production.
Yeah,
I'd say early to mid-July.
So from July basically till now you've just finished sort of like shoring up the last few bugs before we're going to ship this thing.
Yeah, all the major bugs that we wanted to make sure were fixed, we got done. But.
And so like how many different people with different specialties work together to make a map like this?
So there were me and Chris on it basically full time. Chris, the other world builder, and then Luis, he helped us. He is the third world builder.
So it's kind of a full court press.
Not third world builder. He is the third person who is a
the third
world builder.
Yeah, exactly.
At Undead Labs.
We don't have a specialist who does like
third world countries.
And then
yeah.
Brant, obviously, he did worked on all the bases. We had Mark and Dan doing new props and things.
Yep.
We had lighting from Matt Heiniger,
Matt,
right?
yeah.
And yeah, man, we're gonna have to do a future stream on just the lighting because massive changes to the other maps too.
Yeah. So we had a really sizable team of experienced
Brian,
artists. Oh yeah, Brian of course had to work on the loot, right?
Yeah, he did a ton of
and
stuff.
the base stuff.
Base design.
Andy doing all the fiction stuff.
Yeah, like
and then all the UI stuff that was just general Juggernaut things that weren't specifically this map, I guess, but
had to make the map work on the UI and had to make each of the bases work on the UI. Kevin Pun, of course,
with art direction,
contributed a lot with art direction.
All right, so let's,
sound.
Sorry.
Yes, of course, it's like unique audio here, which is like 3 people working together.
Audio, I guess sound kind of.
I think we just hit like 15 people.
And
who
then
were working on this
production
map.
to make sure we don't all get off track.
16, 17.
And there's all the random people we had to just go ask questions because we didn't know the answer to, or we didn't know what we didn't know, that kind of thing. So.
Yep.
And you folks had dedicated QA working on this too. Like
we
alongside
did.
you.
And then once we did the desk move and they're more integrated, that was a lot more helpful. So.
Yeah, maybe the most overworked group of all of us is QA.
But yeah, that desk move he's talking about, we basically sort of tried to restructure things. So instead of it being developers in one room, QA in another room, just sort of, and we were throwing things over the wall at them. We've got members of QA sitting with each dev team, coming to all of the meetings, attending all of the planning sessions, and basically staying completely abreast with everything we're doing. And anything we do that we're worried about, any questions about test, we basically try to integrate them as much as we can because it's going to make our work better if QA is just right on board with us every step of the way.
I'm going to put my birthday mask back on for the last part of this stream.
Okay, that sounds great.
This is my PAX East mask that I was told that I have to wear by Aaron, our producer, who is going to be traveling with me to PAX East for my birthday.
So just as you're putting that on, I'm going to take us off the screen so we can look at this.
Yes. So look at all these slots, large slots. Aplenty.
5 large slots. We've never done anywhere close to that before.
Yeah, and there's one of those clearable slots with a lumber pile, which of course will give you some building materials. One of the unique things about this space is the built-in sawmill.
Yeah, Muv Thrika was asking about that. What does that do?
Yep, you can produce materials in different size loads at the cost of, you need power first of all, but larger zombie threat. So if you want to build materials, you're gonna take on, it's not, those big saws are noisy and you're gonna have to probably deal with some sieges, but there's some benefits too.
So basically, this is the only base that can actually just produce materials from scratch.
From scratch, yes, because
so it's great for maintenance
all
if you've got if you've got a ton of huge facilities, which you're going to have at this base. You're going to need that for maintenance.
Yeah, you're gonna need plenty of those. But so this is sort of the overview. This place gets filled up, and I think I had 9 or 10 people with me when I got this base during some testing playthroughs, and it's a lot of fun. But there's approaches from every angle, and you're going to be dealing with some serious zombie threat because there's a lot of material, there's a lot of resources around here, and that's why it's a really attractive base. but you have to pay the price too, right? You're gonna get some attention. So one of the things that I wanted to show you before we finish here is I'm gonna drive around and let Doug talk about. This town has been logging for as long as people have been here.
Generations.
So
They were just starting to build their new.
yeah,
This
is the new
neighborhood.
Lundegard. Is
Oh,
there a
yeah.
history of the old? I'm gonna let Doug drive here too.
Okay. Let's try not to be too jarring with. Usually not the best at.
But one of the things that Doug and Chris are so good at is telling a story without having it shoved in your face. We're coming up on the
Condemned.
original Lundegard lumber, right? And it's been condemned, and they rebuilt it after this one basically fell apart. But I love this building because it really speaks to sort of the history of logging in Washington State. It's right on the river, and they used to pluck logs right out of the river when they floated them down. So we've got representations of all that, and it's.
You can really tell a lot of thought went into not just what would look nice here and there, but what's the story of this place, and like
Yeah.
what would make it really hang together.
So we have some.
I won't go inside. Just I'll leave it for players to find out when they, in a couple weeks when they
Yeah.
get their hands on it.
Yeah.
But drive up to the logged area so we can get a look back at the town from up there.
So like I mentioned, Chris, he was the lead map designer on this, and he did an awesome job of kind of keeping the theme of the logging throughout the map and spreading it out. So we have, the clear cut area here, the parade, the sawdust days, Shaggy Jack, the new construction. So it all kind of ties in together with that logging heritage of the whole area. So
Kind of no matter where you are, you know what map you're on
Go
because
up to the right and follow that
Okay.
road up.
yeah, because every part of this map sort of so it all supports
car.
itself.
So those of you
just gonna.
who like to make up your own games here, this road, it's this winding, looping road. Great for car races if you guys want to figure out a car race. But yeah, so
I'll just.
you
go
guys
there.
did, our
You
map
found it.
guys did a great job, especially since you two hadn't been sort of let loose on your own on a map before.
Yeah, we had
guys-
worked on similar things, but yeah, State of Decay was a new thing for us to wrap our heads around what made a map, and
And it really, I feel like, this map is now, like, around the office is one of the favorite maps because, you came in to make this map not just when we were imagining State of Decay 2, in the backs of our heads, but when State of Decay 2 was a real game that you'd played before. You
Yeah,
knew
let's
what
get out.
made a map good.
Let's
and you
get
were
out
able to
here.
take advantage of all of that knowledge that you built up,
yeah, that's right. We were able to, and then try some new things. Like, there's a lot more of an elevation change on this than the other
Keep
maps. So,
Here, I'm going to take this back
all right.
because you're making me nervous.
So that was one of the things we wanted to bring the elevation change, just so it's something fresh.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. This
that
this
great.
kind of height is not something you usually see on the other maps. There's a little bit maybe around the middle of Drucker, but not nearly this extreme. And certainly, just the scale of those mountains in the background is pretty impressive.
But yeah, this road actually curls up a little bit farther, but I will run out. And look at
What?
this. This is something you haven't seen in State of Decay before because, like I said, we've learned a lot about how to build our maps efficiently and using all the horsepower we can squeeze out of the machine. And I love this.
And we got a lot of help from Rory with
Yep, our tech art crew.
performance. Yeah.
More people that we forgot to credit.
Yeah. Basically, check out the credits. Everyone there is essential. Right? But the elevation changes in this map are larger than anything we've ever done. I love the flow. There are lots of fun little secrets, lots of fun little stories to discover. As a team, we should be super proud of this. It's a lot of fun. And actually, just from playing around, this is my favorite map. I love it. And it's not just because it's new. It just feels, to me, this is home. I grew up here, right?
Yeah, and it feels like a culmination of a lot of learning and a lot of work.
Oops, didn't mean to show you that. All
Yeah,
right.
so I guess Chris and I did have the benefit of everybody that had worked on this before. So We
but
appreciate
you guys,
that.
yeah, but you guys, I mean, you did something really new and cool and exciting with
Yeah,
it, which is amazing.
You brought yourselves to it, and it shows. And I think you guys are all gonna really enjoy playing in this map.
So we're about out of time, but we can't go without announcing the winner of our giveaway, which is over on Twitch. Graveyard Troubadour is the winner, so congratulations. So they are going to be sent a. Let me just show the. Where is this? Let me show
we
the
have a
thing
picture
again.
of it?
Yes.
Look at that.
We have replaced Doug with a phantom white controller. So this is what Graveyard Troubadour is going to get sent to their house. So, folks are going to try to contact you about it. You can also email social@undeadlabs.com if we have trouble finding you for some reason, Troubadour. But congratulations. And we will take that away again so we can see Doug. But, so we are about out of time. So I'm really glad you decided to end it here because this is one of the most beautiful things I have ever seen in our game. I mean, to be able to look at something this gorgeous from this far away and also know you can go inside every single one of those buildings and loot it.
That's big.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Just one little note. Those of you who are planning on attending PAX East, please stay tuned for, especially in Discord, our Discord, for some announcements about that.
Link in the doobly-doo if you're watching this on YouTube.
Yeah. And Aaron and I, like I said, Aaron and I will be out there, and we'd love to see you guys.
So we are out of time. In fact, it's a minute over, so we're going to get out of here. But, first off, thank you so much, Brant, for driving and for all the work you put into these bases and for letting me just linger on your beautiful face.
Show Aaron's mask that I have to wear. Zip it, she's trying to tell me.
And thank you, Doug, for coming in here and for, again, all of the work that you did to bring this map to life.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it wasn't just me. It was.
Oh yeah, obviously, yeah. You and all of we definitely made it really clear. Dozens of people involved in making this thing, but thank you for coming here and representing them and talking about all the stuff you guys did. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was a fun map to work on, so I'm excited for players to get out there and get their hands on it.
Well, then with that, thank you for joining us, and we'll get out of here.
Yeah, March 13th.
It's only
13th.
what, 2.5 weeks?
Yeah, it's getting so close. We've got 2 more streams basically before this thing's out in the wild.
That's right.
So it still feels like it's a month
Once
away.
again, as usual, thanks everybody for joining us. Couldn't do this without you. We love you, and really, fall down, go boom. I love you. Anyways,
We love all of you.
Take care, everybody, and.